Okay, let's work on solving this equation where we have e to a couple different powers as well as a constant involved. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is get everything on one side and get 0 on the other side. So since we have a positive e to the 2x minus e to the x on this side, I'm going to go ahead and just subtract the 56 to move it over to this side as well. Now the thing to note on this is an equation of the quadratic form. What I mean by that is the first term is double whatever the second term is, as far as their powers go. So that first term, you'll notice, we can rewrite as e to the x squared. Then we have e to the x to the first power for that second term minus the 56 equals 0. Now, there are a couple different ways to go about this. What I'm going to do is, because it's of the quadratic form, I'm going to go ahead and attempt to factor it. So to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to visualize this as, say, letting w, a new variable, equal our e to the x. So if I replace each of the e to the x's, we'll get w squared minus w to the first power minus 56 equals 0. And in theory, if I can factor what's on the right-hand side, that right half with the w's, I should be able to factor what's on the left-hand side as well. A couple different ways we could go about this, but I'm going to go ahead and say, let's factor the right-hand side and go with that this time around. So the w squared will get replaced with w and w as we split it apart. 56, we can think of that as being, what, 7 times 8? And we're going to use a positive 7 and a negative 8. Now, the rest of the steps for solving this down would be, we would go ahead and set each factor equal to 0. In this case, to get w by itself, we would subtract the 7. And on this one, we would add the 8 to move it to the other side. But the problem we've run into is we have this in terms of w. Well, to solve this down, what we could do is we want to get x's back involved. So we go back up to what we defined w to be here at the beginning, and we're going to get rid of our w's and replace this with e to the x equals negative 7, and e to the x equals positive 8. Now we have equations that once again involve x. So to solve these down, what we'll want to do is apply a natural log to both sides. So apply a natural log. And the thought process is we use the natural log because it's the inverse of e raised to a power. So bringing these down, we still have our e to the x, our negative 7, e to the x, and the positive 8. We want to use that natural log because natural log composed together with e to the x, they have the same bases, remember? So this will just give us x equals the natural log of negative 7. But remember, we can't have a negative inside of a logarithmic function, so this part gives us no solution, or does not exist, sometimes we say. Over on the other one, we're going to get x equals the natural log of 8. All right, so we only have the one solution, x equals the natural log of 8. Now, if we didn't want to get w's involved, we could have, back here on the left-hand side, gone ahead and split this apart as e to the x and e to the x. 7 and 8, once again, go ahead and make that 56. It's going to be plus 7 minus 8 as we do our factoring. And notice how it mimics what's on the right-hand side. From here, we would go ahead and say e to the x plus 7 equals 0. E to the x minus 8 equals 0. Two separate equations. Subtract our 7. Add our 8 to the other side, and we're at the exact same spot that we were over here on the right-hand side. So it should be the exact same. Apply a natural log to both sides. But remember, no negatives inside of a natural log. Either way you want to do this, if you want to do a let statement and introduce a w, that's okay. But just remember, you have to replace back in where the w was with e to the x in this case. So hope this helps out. Good luck as you're working on solving these down. Remember, the other alternative is when you have a equation of the quadratic form, you could always pull out the quadratic formula if you don't remember how to factor it, or maybe you just can't factor it in that case. All right, good luck.